going to follow up on an important topic. Good conversation we had with our congressman a few days back on an effort to bring back U.S. veterans, service members. They served our country. But because of their immigration status and the fact that they got in some type of legal trouble when they came back, and you know how it is, life happens, and some of them are dealing with PTSD and all that. And, well, they got kicked out of the country. They're living, some of them in Mexico, some folks elsewhere. And our Congressman Vicente Gonzalez is working hard to wake people up in D.C. and do something to bring these service members, these veterans, U.S. veterans, bring them home. Our Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, our guest right now, 710 KURV. Vicente, thank you so much, Congressman, for giving us a few minutes. Now, give me an update. Give me some good news. Are you getting more people to come aboard this effort of yours to bring home, to repatriate? And I know some people were saying last time, you can't use the word repatriate. They weren't you that says, you know what? They've served our country. And they likely serve more than you have, so just shut up already. So tell me, give me some good news. Tell me you got more people aboard helping you out.
I agree. Serve most of the people talking. Yes, I have some good news. I was invited to the White House last week.
Wow.
By senior staff. So it was the first White House meeting. I was the first freshman Democrat to be invited to the Trump administration White House to discuss repatriating our veterans. And I think the word repatriating is a correct word because the definition of repatriating is bringing people home. And I think this is their home if they fought for this country. And they're looking at this positively. They're trying to find ways that we could work together. I have bipartisan support on the other side of the aisle. I have Republican Congressman Don Young, and I have Congressman Denham from California, Don Young from Alaska, and others who have expressed their interest in supporting me on this effort. Last week, I was invited to the White House to discuss what we could do to make this a reality and tweak the language to make sure it's something that everyone would be comfortable with. I personally have asked for the president to sign an executive order minimum for now to stop deporting veterans.
Hey, does it need to be legislation, though? Can the president go back and get everyone that's been kicked out, bring them back home, or does that need to be legislation?
No, I think he may be able to do it through executive order, but either way, they're interested in talking about legislation. My ask was for him to sign an executive order to stop the deportation of further
this point on.
Of more veterans. I've been getting calls with this has kind of gone viral nationwide. I've been getting calls from around the world. Last week, I got a call from South Korea. I got a call from Germany, from Turkey, from all over Latin America. I'm getting hits on social media from around the world. We've deported our veterans to 36 countries around the world that I know of that are on the books as of now. There may be more. And
Congressman, let me ask you something.
No,
these international calls that you're getting, is it just other media wanting to talk to you, or are these veterans who have been kicked over to South Korea, to Germany, Turkey?
Yes, it is veterans.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's veterans who have been deported. The veteran, the last one that called us from Germany last week, he's been following us. He's been following the news. He's Googling. He wants to come home. Most of them are good citizens who served our country and were honorably discharged. And as you said, many of them came back with PTSD, started using drugs and alcohol, made bad decisions, and got themselves in some trouble and have been deported.
All right.
And one of the things, because there's been an effort before in my bill, I have language. It's a pretty conservative, strict language where if you committed rape, murder, or an act of terrorism against our country, you're still deportable. And I mean, those are folks that I don't mind getting rid of, regardless of their service, because of crime that they committed was so egregious. But the vast majority of these veterans who have been deported are not deported for those reasons. They're deported for mostly drugs and alcohol and bad decisions that come with that. And I think it's been a real indictment on us. And I think a lot of it is because we didn't give them the mental health care that they needed to transition back into society after they came back from Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
And now this goes back all the way to Vietnam. We have a Marine, decorated Marine living across the border, I think in Progreso, who was deported, who was a Vietnam veteran who served in the swamps for 2.5 years. And, obviously came back with a lot of the same problems that these recent veterans came back with. I've been focusing more on our recent veterans, but obviously this would be an option that would be available to all veterans who have been deported, who served our country, who fought for our freedom, and served honorably and were honorably discharged.
Our Congressman Vicente Gonzalez from Congressional District 15 joining us on 710 KURV. He's working to bring back veterans who have been deported because their citizenship status was not up to speed, and they did something wrong and got in trouble with the law, and they got the boots. Now, as the congressman said, limitations on his legislation. Anyone who commits rape, murder, or terrorism, they will need to stay out of the country. But I suspect, Gente, that the overwhelming majority of those who have been kicked out for other issues not related to what I mentioned, not related to that.
Absolutely. And I can tell you as a lawyer, I feel that we've breached our contract to these folks. They sign it on the dotted line. A lot of them are recruited at a very young age when they're 17 years old, still in high school, still young and naive, but eager to serve their country. And the deal is that if you serve and you're honorably discharged, you have some veteran benefits. You have a GI Bill where you can go to college. You have health care. You have a loan to be able to buy a home. Now, once we deport them, they have no access to these benefits. And in my opinion, there's a breach contract on these folks. There's something that we owe them for their service.
Okay.
And I think we need to make things right.
All right. And your legislation, is there a chance that you might include some language that provides for an automatic transition from residency to citizenship once they are discharged with good service? They've been discharged.
That's correct. In fact, that law is already in place. And many of these folks, a lot of people say, well, why didn't they become citizens? Well, when you're 18 years old and you're sitting in the desert for 2.5 or 3 years, the last thing on your mind is filling out, complicated immigration documents.
Yeah.
And most of the armed services do not have outreach efforts. I have to give a lot of credit to the Air Force. They're one of the very few who actually do outreach to permanent U.S. residents who are serving in the military and the Air Force.
Okay.
They reach out to them, tell them, hey, come in. We have some lawyers that are going to help you fill out the paperwork, and so you become a U.S. citizen. I believe that the day that you're discharged, you should be given your citizenship.
Does your legislation call for something like that?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So you were the first freshman congressman to visit the White House this trip. So tell me about it. So are all the fixtures now golden? Did everything retrofitted inside the White House? Or what? No?
There's neon around all of them, yeah.
Gente, thank you. That's our Congressman Vicente Gonzalez from District 15 joining us on 710 KURV.